Hey, here we are. Stop 2 of the 2026 Progressive Bassmaster Elite Series. The Lippert Bassmaster Elite at Lake Martin, still in Alabama, back-to-back Alabama events to kick off the 2026 season right here in the birth state of Bassmaster, Sweet Home, Alabama, but a much different fishery this time around, Kyle Jesse. Obviously, Lake Martin, maybe we should have done these in reverse. I mean, a little easier to go from Martin to Guntersville than Guntersville to Martin. I mean, what a show last week. But this is a different challenge. Still $100,000 on the line. Still all the points on the line. A lot of bites we're going to see, but a lot of measuring this week, too.
Absolutely. There's going to be no shortage of fish catches this week on Bassmaster Live. I feel like we've already seen that through the morning. You know, taking a look at the leaderboard there. Will Davis, Aaron Jackfield, already over 10 pounds. Seems like all the guys I talked to in practice, that was kind of the mark. If you could hit double digits, you know, especially fishing for those spotted bass out deep, have a lot of the day to go try to catch a big largemouth. One of the stories I'm sure we'll get into, the rest of the week is obviously there's the aerial shots. You can tell the water's down. Makes that largemouth bite a little trickier. A lot of guys I talked to said that, you know, there's great areas, but there's just not as many of them because a lot of the boat docks are out of the water. So going to be an interesting dynamic. And as far as I'm concerned, Lake Martin is a great tournament lake. So it's going to be a fun week.
Well, let's just put that to the test right now and catch up with things with our Bassmaster Midday Report. And we'll kick things off with the always lovable Takumi Ito. And he's a guy who I'm sure was a giant pick in fantasy fishing going into this event, knowing his spotted bass past.
Yeah, no question about it. It's always, smallmouth Disneyland, but it might as well be spotted bass Disneyland with Taku Ito. Smith Lake obviously got the victory there just a few years ago. Has said multiple times those spotted bass lakes, especially the ones in Alabama, Martin, Smith Lake, are some of his favorite lakes in the country. And you said it, definitely a very popular pick in Rapala Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing this week, and for good reason. Obviously off to a slow start this morning, but if there's anybody I would count on to get where he needs to be by the end of the day, it's Taku Ito.
Told me on stage that he doesn't need forward-facing sonar anymore, but I think he changed because it looks like he is using forward-facing sonar. Obviously, you're allowed to use forward-facing sonar in this event with our 50-50 split schedule, but a guy I'm happy to have back on tour, 7-time Classic qualifier. He's got a postseason win on the Elite Series, and that is one and only Big Daddy Russ Lane.
Yeah, you could tell on stage last week at Lake Guntersville how excited he was to be able to stay in his own home, sleep in his own bed for this tournament. Obviously a slower start so far, but it's been interesting to see him mix it up a little bit. The one thing I kept an eye on this morning at takeoff was last week, how many times did we say, when Jamie Hartman would come on or when Stetson Blaylock the last day caught one on a spinning rod, that was an anomaly. Not so much this week. We're going to see a lot of spinning rods, but he did have some casting rods on his deck. Going to be interesting to watch him the rest of the day.
A guy that is a magician with a spinning rod, the Great Dane, Emil Wagner, won the inaugural EQ and also a giant pick in fantasy fishing, taking his Lake Lanier skills and applying them here on Lake Martin.
No doubt about it. Obviously a tough start to the season at Lake Guntersville for Emil Wagner, but you had to imagine this one on the schedule is one he was looking forward to, irregardless of the bad start. But you said it, when you look at guys like Emil Wagner, Paul Marks, Tucker Smith, copy and paste any of the Surge squad into your fantasy lineups, and you're feeling pretty good about it. No doubt about it, he is a spotted bass expert and should excel here at Lake Martin.
Surge squatters do that, and they surge, and he will be surging this week. Another guy who has to surge, but not near as far as he had to last year. I mean, he starts the season slow, and don't worry, he'll win the Classic and all sorts of great events ahead for him, and that is your Classic champion, Easton Fothergill.
Yeah, I mean, if he'd have had the start that he had last year, I mean, he'd be battling for AOY by the end of it. Just narrowly missed the cut at Lake Guntersville, but again, just like we said, a guy that's going to factor here, obviously incredibly good with his forward-facing sonar.
Oh, good googly moogly, Steve Kennedy.
There is nothing more fun than watching Steve Kennedy on Bassmaster Live. I am a firm believer of that. Obviously, getting to see him throw a jig this morning, fish some shallow water. Very interesting seeing him push back in some of these backwaters, very far backs of the creeks, following the creek channel. Having that success on the jig so far, we've seen him pick up a swim bait a handful of times. Something tells me we're going to have a lot of fun watching him today.
How about our current leader, Will Davis Jr., a 3-time Bassmaster winner, obviously the back-to-back Bass Nation National Champion. But don't forget, along the way, put an Elite Series title on his shelf, and he could be a big pick coming into Sunday this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a lot of Alabama anglers in this tournament, but Will Davis, just up the road in Sylacauga, Alabama, basically splits the difference between the Coosa River and Lake Martin. Certainly very, very familiar here. We saw him get off to a great start this morning with a 3+ pounder. And, that's the kind of fish you need to propel yourself over that 10-pound range and put yourself where you need to be. It's been a lot of fun watching him this morning, currently in the lead. Going to be interesting to watch him on one of his home lakes this week.
Well, that gets you caught up on everything we've seen so far. Let's get out in the water live right now. Lake Martin with Will Davis Jr.
So now I got to retie real quick like, and then get back to work. But I feel good about it. It's just been one of them ones I caught a real good one real early. I mean a real good one, a 3-4, which is a big one for down here. And caught a few cranking, and really nothing to just set the world on fire, but it's just Lake Martin. Any one cast can change the whole game here. The difference between a mediocre day and a heck of a day is one 4-pounder, and that's what we got to get. And we on the search for 'em. I really like this FG knot, but I really don't like tying it during the tournament. It takes a few seconds to tie it, but in my opinion, it is one of the strongest knots that there is fluorocarbon to braid. And I'm just tying up another shaky worm rod, 12-pound SPS fluorocarbon, and 10-pound braid. See if we can get back to work.
Just when you think an FG knot is tough enough, tie it on camera. But moments before we got to Will Davis, check this out.
It will save you. It just goes through the guides a lot better. A lot better.
A whole different tournament this week. But Will Davis, he doesn't probably get the credit because he's kind of a soft-spoken dude. But one of the most innovative guys. I mean, comes from a fishing family of innovation. Obviously, his dad, Bill Davis, has brought so many amazing things to the sport. And Will, I mean, he follows in his footsteps, and it's worked for him on the Elite Series.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the Davis shaky head, which he's showing us one of them there, is one of the most popular shaky heads in this area, and it's basically taken over a lot of different places, but certainly a popular one at the tackle stores around here.
A big keeper right there allows it to keep the worm on better.
And Will's going to be the kind of angler. It's two different games that we're playing here. We got spotted bass, we got largemouth bass. I mean, most people believe that you're probably going to need a few largemouth to win this tournament. You're not just going to get it done in spots. We'll have to see how that all plays out. Everybody has their thoughts going into an event. But Will is an angler that you have to believe is equally as proficient with spots and largemouth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen his shallow water prowess across the Elite Series, on a variety of different bodies of water. And, being a guy that's from around here, obviously going to be super well-versed with spotted bass between the Coosa River, Lake Martin. His morning, it seems like, to me, has gone about as well as you could ask for because, again, the amount of guys I talked to that said, hey, if I can get up near around double digits and then go hunt for a largemouth later in the day, Will Davis, to this point, is one of the only few that, could probably feel comfortable doing that. But obviously we still see him fishing offshore at this point.
Well, let's get over to Easton Fothergill, currently in 29th place and 5 weeks away from defending his title at Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah, we're looking for the 5th. We have 2 what I would call solid ones. We caught our 5th fish plenty of times, but I just can't risk putting a 1 pounder or a 1.3 in there and just risk it dying, because I know to be where I need to be and to make the cut and all that, you just can't have those in your bag. So I can't get stuck with those, and I'm pulling them from deep water, so I feel like they'd be susceptible to getting sketchy on me, so we threw them back. But I'm fully expecting this afternoon bite to really kick on today. It's sunny and flat, calm conditions, so the backs of these pockets are gonna get super warm. And in the afternoon, I'm fully expecting them to flood with fish, so it should get really fun here about noon, lunchtime.
People wanted to see Easton. He won our fan cam this week, right?
Sure did. He got his own separate stream and everything.
Wow. Remember, you can vote in your favorite Elite Series Pro for each and every Elite Series event with the Bassmaster fan cam. So make sure you check that out going into each event. Cooper Gallant won the last event. Easton Fothergill, who will it be? Will we have a fan cam at the Bassmaster Classic?
Sure.
Ha! Decisions are being made right here.
Oh, you're kidding. Yeah. Wait till out. This one looks extremely large if it's that. I don't think it is. God, that is a huge bass. Come on.
life, and once again, the Elite Series is back in your life for the second week in a row in the great state of Alabama. This time on Lake Martin. This is the Lippert Bassmaster Elite at Lake Martin, the second stop of our 2026 Progressive Bassmaster Elite Series, and all this action being brought to you by our friends at Minn Kota. Got to thank them for bringing you the live bass fishing. I mean, at once it was a dream to be able to see this, and now multiple feeds, multiple ways to watch this, and I can't take my eyes off it, especially when you got your eyes on somebody like Will Davis Jr. And we don't just have eyes on him, we've got eyes on his forward-facing sonar, which is a player this time around. Not allowed to use it last time. Allowed to use it this time, and we have an official in the boat, or not in the boat, but in the booth right now. We're joined by Hank Weldon, and let's listen into Will real quick.
Banks this time of year, but just, them 45-degree banks, and I've just been targeting them with a crankbait, Spro crankbait, and just crawfish color, and it's a good little stretch right here. I ain't caught them here in a while, but it's time for one. There's one after it right there. So when you see that happen, pick up a Davis shaky head, throw it out there, and drag it real slow. It's not my style, really, but that's how I grew up fishing down here, and that's usually will get you bit when nothing else. As you can tell, old buddy's still blowing the leaves over there. Pretty sure he's got to be about done by now. He get him come to my house and do some yard work. But you want to try to run this sea light right here wearing some shade.
Hank joining us on set here, and I wish we were in a boat. I misspoke. We're in the booth, but Hank, obviously, tournament director of the Bassmaster Opens, but you're also know a thing or two about Martin.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys are really scraping the bottom of the barrel if you're asking me to get out here on the set. But, yeah, I mean, at the curtails of Dad, the old man, I've put a minute or two out on this lake for a long time. My whole life grew up on this lake, and
Lake Martin Bullet.
It's showing out like usual Lake Martin fashion right now. So but I love this lake. It's beautiful, full of fish. It's fun to watch these guys break it down.
Hank, you told me that you won the very first tournament you ever fished on this lake.
Yeah, I would think I was.
I would have quit right there.
I probably should. Not I won. We won, right?
I was giving you credit.
I think I was 8 years old, and we hit a Tuesday nighter at a Bay Pines, which is a little marina on the Alex City side, and went and hit a Pier Light quick. Dad caught a 4-pounder, and we cruised that to victory. And so, probably should have stopped at that point. But I did net the fish.
There you go.
Yeah. 4-pounders are hard to come by right now.
Literally spooked away from it, swam away probably 20 feet.
That's a real island down on the bottom.
And then came back. Might help, but there's more there. Ooh, come on. Mega school of them. They're not carp, that's probably what they are.
How different would this event have been if the coin flip went the other direction? We were no forward-facing sonar here.
Probably not that much because it's just so full of fish. I mean, and with this warming trend, that's what I was kind of watching. So I don't get out on this lake a lot, but I will tell you, I start watching the weather in February and March, and if I can sneak over here on a weekday with 70 degrees like we're getting, those spots just flood to the bank, and that's just, you can go down if you've picked the right docks. You can go down. I mean, it can be a 40, sometimes 50 fish day. Now, they're all going to be fun fishing, pound and a half. You may catch a 2-pounder or look up and get a big largemouth. But I actually don't think it would have been too different here. Now, Gunnerdale would have blown up,
Oh, yeah.
100 pounds. So,
We couldn't afford the century.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I don't think you wouldn't have seen too much different here, though, with weights and the total to win.
What we are seeing is different right now. We're seeing a baitcaster. Yeah. Unlike last week where it was all baitcasters and we would stop and be like, that's a spinning rod. We're actually seeing a baitcaster. Do you believe you can win this all in spots, or is it going to be a combo?
Used to, yes. Lake Martin, the one thing that's been consistent about Lake Martin is you don't see a guy follow up with big bags multiple days. It's hard to get that in a multiple-day tournament. So does someone have a big bag today? And when I mean big bag, 14 to maybe 17. I would be surprised if we see over 17. It can happen. That's just how this lake's been fishing the past few years. So it's like, who can get that quality fish early? I don't know. It's hard to say, Mercer. Obviously, the bigger fish are going to be at the largemouth right now, but we've caught 4 and 5 pound spots out of here. They have been in here before, but they just don't seem like they're in here right now. As plentiful, at least.
We're working on some.
I got weekend tournaments last weekend.
Right now.
15
haven't
on
caught
Saturday and 14
any good ones
one
yet.
on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So
2.5, but
that's going to have you set up really well if you have 5 3-pounders.
Emil Wagner on a pot of them, it looks like.
Feel good.
He's called them filler fish.
In the area I've been wanting to fish the whole tournament, so get them. And when you shake this bait on the bottom, it's so light, you literally have to shake it with like 5 feet of slack in your line. Otherwise, it'll come off the bottom. And spotted bass on days like today are so finicky, the shallow ones. So you got to do all the little things right or you are not going to catch them. This morning, we were not doing the little things right.
With the influx of all the ultra finesse baits, the dices, the different things like that, shaking a bait isn't what it used to be. I mean,
3+ pounder, I'll feel really good about that.
You could just naturally shake it, but you have to put slack in your line so that shake doesn't literally rip the bait away from the fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is all we're looking for. That's what makes your day on this kind of place.
You big dice guy, Hank?
I've tried it. It works here.
The first day of practice, I had 14 pounds, which was unreal. I don't even. And I didn't even have a real big one. I had one big spot, but just had a bunch of really nice ones. And
every local knows exactly where he is right now.
I know we can make that happen again today. We just got to find them.
Yeah, if he posted a picture, he'd totally blur that out.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all can see on the live scope, it's springtime, all this pollen and everything. You can't hardly see anything up here shallow, but sometimes you'll throw your bait in there and you'll just see something kind of scurry out at the bottom or give you a sign that there's a fish on your bait. You can see I'll throw it up there, I'll blind work it sometimes and then keep scanning around, see if I can't find one that's for sure a bass.
Pollen, the enemy of
we
live
missed
scope.
One a minute ago that was really nice. I mean, that one we just caught right there looked like a dink compared to it, but there's nothing you can do about that. Sometimes the biggest ones, for whatever reason, they nip it. I guess it's because they're the smartest, but it drives me nuts. Like even right here, I don't see any fish, but there's just some rocks on the bottom, edge of a little walkway, and day like today, they're gonna get so tight to the bottom a lot of the time, so you're not always throwing at fish. A lot of times you're just throwing at structure, and you'll just see one rise out of the bottom.
Emil, giving us a class. Great stuff there. Pollen, I mean, the two things that seem to shut down live scope, pollen and wind. You get too much wind, get too much pollen in the water, it interrupts the signal, and you just can't see what you're wanting to see. But working so far for Emil, but our tournament leader Will Davis Jr. We have 3 anglers now in double digits. Scott Canterbury, he's kind of come out of nowhere there. Aaron Jackfield, Elite Series rookie. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes from Lake Martin.
Thanks. Let's see what happens. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Bassmaster live cast. And the goal here right now is all about right there, the Yeti hot seat. I know it seems early, but we're already loading it. The Yeti hot seat this afternoon. Everything will be made official when the anglers weigh in. Weigh-in starts at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch that on Bassmaster.com. And if it were to happen right now, Will Davis Jr. would be in that hot seat. And I'm predicting, I mean, I get it, it's early, but I'm predicting that Will Davis Jr. is going to be a player throughout this entire event. I mean, you just don't see a way of him going away. No matter what happens in this event, Will Davis is the kind of guy that's going to catch him. But so is that guy that we were just watching, Takumi Ito. Knows a thing or two about spotted bass and a lot of fish in this body of water. We are not going to go through any lulls this week, are we, Hank?
Oh, no. There will be fish catches constant throughout the event, every hour. That would be an interesting stat to know how many fish are caught every hour on this lake.
think it'll be interesting to see, even, you know, at the end of the day, the guys that are up there near the top, especially the ones that have been updating on Bass Tracks, how many times they've had to cull to get to where they're at. I mean, Gussie's in the top 10 right now, and he's culled. I mean, he's caught 20 keepers. I mean, 20 keepers.
Just because it was good one day or bad one day.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I learned early on Martin is you really have to get that kicker to set you apart. Now, that may be a 3-pounder, right? But putting one on that left side of the live well was always very important to getting paid in a tournament.
I had some of my biggest bites. I've only hit one of the good ones, and we caught one first cast on. It wasn't a big one, but I found
Emil's great.
8 or 9 docks like this in here, and it was literally every single one in practice. And then I just quit finding them because I could see on the map how they set up and everything. So again, I'm hitting them as we get to them. We've only hit that one now, but I'm hitting these rocks in between and hoping we luck into a couple nice ones. Need them. Had a terrible event at Gunnersville, and need to bounce back here to make up for that. I'm just glad I'm not ripping a trap in the grass, to be honest with you. I like fishing grass, but I don't like ripping a trap.
Yeah, not going to be a lot of trap ripping here this week.
Yeah. So obviously I guide on Lake Lanier at home, and spotted bass for the most part, as long as you have some herring in the lake, which the herring population in Martin has dwindled over the years. I think it's pretty low right now, which is why the weights aren't very good. But generally speaking, the ones down here in the southeast that aren't Coosa River bass, they all act the same. And the last 2 days we had clouds and wind, and it was unbelievable. I mean, you can pull into these ditches, they were blowing up, schooling, you see fish everywhere. And we see that guiding all the time. And it's just that low pressure that brings them off the bottom and they eat. And then you go out on a day like today and you hardly see any fish at all. They're still there, they're just sucked super tight to the bottom. So they're a lot harder to catch, and they're just really, really spooky. But I really want to make it to the weekend, because those clouds and wind roll back in, all these fish start showing themselves, and it gets really fun. So the good thing is, a day like today, like yesterday, I checked a bunch of docks again. They weren't really on them, but again, that's because of the clouds. So sun, fish tuck really tight to the bottom, get under the dock floats. A lot harder to see on live scope. Clouds, they all disperse and you see them everywhere because they float off the bottom with the low pressure.
Really good stuff there from Emil, but, you know, watching these two guys right here, I think you come into this tournament and the expectation is that with the cold weather and everything going on, forward-facing sonar, we just see a ton of guys just floating around out in the middle and chasing bait balls and doing whatever. But, you know, Easton on the right's throwing a harness-style swim bait around boat docks. You see Emil Wagner up around boat docks. Things are happening here because of the weather. I mean, you're hearing Emil talk about it right there.
One of the things he talked about, Hank, was the herring population. His guesstimate is pretty low right now, and he says that's why the weights are low. But this fishery, I mean, we've seen what herring does to a fishery. It totally changes. I mean, it changes their minds.
Rewires them, right?
Where is it right now in your assumption?
I think so. You know, it's hard to know when the herring really got in here, but we do know when it peaked. It peaked around 18, 19. I think we were talking off air. It was taking 20 to 24 pounds to win tournaments in September.
Wow.
I know Dad, and he'll talk about this later this week, but they had a tournament in September. They had 19 pounds, and they were like 6th place.
Gosh.
I mean, that's 2 day total making cut weight here, you know what I mean, this time. So all that to say this, yeah, I think the herring, they're still here. It's just like, I don't know if we understand enough about why they're not where they are. Or know why they weren't like that. Maybe the spotted bass ate them all. I don't know. It's hard to understand.
2 bucks right now, Easton Fothergill and Takumi Ito. Pretty shocking to see them 56th and 53rd. But the thing to remember and what's going to be compelling about this event is how tight that is. We just saw moments ago Scott Canterbury show up in the top 10 out of nowhere. We're going to see a lot of movement here this week.
It was one of the first things that Will Davis Jr. said whenever we went to him the first segment is that he realizes he's one cast away from making, his day turn around like that. And you're watching a guy like Easton right now fish around these boat docks. He catches a 5-pounder, he's probably going to jump into the top 3. He might be leading, if he is able to catch a big largemouth. So that's what, in my mind makes this such a compelling tournament is because you're, unless you just completely zero, you're never going to be completely out of it, regardless how far down you are.
Yeah, that's what makes Martin such a great tournament lake, and I think why it's one of the more popular lakes in Alabama, believe it or not, from a boat number side of things.
Sure.
When you're running tournaments, you're always going to get decent participation when you're at Martin, and I think everybody realizes that you do have a good shot at that one big bite and having cookie cutter limit and being in it. So it's a fun place to fish. You catch a ton of fish when you come here. In high school tournaments, 230, 240 boats out of this place, and it's packed here at Wind Creek. You cannot move.
Guy on the right side of that screen probably won a few of those high school tournaments.
Yeah.
Why'd you skip like that?
He was just complaining about that skip. You saw that, and he said, that was a bad one.
That would be my best.
And that is why we're in here and he's out there.
Hank, obviously a good visual there of the water being down where Easton's at. You were talking about this being a every year thing. Like what stage of the year typally do we see this draw down?
Yeah, so this is Southern Company Lake. It's actually 100 years old this year, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy to believe. But yeah, traditionally it was built for hydroelectric power and flood control. Growing up my whole life, winter drawdown was 11 feet. They changed that a few years back. It's either 6 or 7 feet now. So probably getting close to what they call plug day. I think that's in probably early April, if I'm not mistaken. But it'll start coming up. But here's the problem. The state's in a drought. I noticed that driving over Elkahatchee Creek. That's traditionally a stained water creek. A lot of guys who didn't like fishing in clear water would go there. It's clear, meaning there's not a lot of water coming in. Now, that can quickly change in the spring in Alabama, but it's down its normal winter level at the moment and holding, but there's just not a lot of water coming in from these backs of creeks and the Tallapoosa River and all of that. It's interesting to see it in this state. I'd be curious to see how much dirty water, stained water there is out there.
Not a lot.
Not that we've seen on camera, that's for sure.
If you usually go left out of Wind Creek and run upriver, you can find it pretty quickly. Down lakes, the more traditionally clear areas, down around the ridge and Castaway and Collagen, all those places, and upriver stained, but it didn't look like that when I came over the lake this morning.
Just went back and watched the 2018 Elite Series show from a few years back yesterday. It made me wonder, is there a possibility of somebody running up the river and finding just a complete magic spot like
one cast?
I mean, based on everything I'd heard from anglers previous to coming into this tournament, it sounded like you'd never see that, but then you watch that and you're like, well, it can happen. I mean,
not going to be a lot of current.
Sure.
So, but there's big fish up there. Usually guys who run upriver have a shot of catching a really good one, like 6-pounder, so which would be a really big mover for this one. Almost get you paid for the whole week.
And let's be honest, that was rare even then.
Yeah.
I remember talk every day, like saying on stage, they were there again. Like, I hope they're there again tomorrow. And he stuck on them 4 days and got another title to his name. Right now, whoa, look at all those double digits. Half our top 10 are now in double digits. Kyle Jesse Martin is showing up. What's it going to take to make top 50 here, Hank Weldon?
Top 50, 19 pounds. No. Top 50. I'm thinking top 10. Yeah, probably 18, 19 pounds. So, I can't hear anything.
Progressive Bassmaster Elite Series back in your life, and this is the second stop of the 2026 season. Lippert Bassmaster Elite at Lake Martin, the second stop in the birth state of Bassmaster, Alabama, and a much different body of water this time around. It's one state, but it is very versatile. I mean, from salt water to everything, you can get it all here in Alabama, and we are showing it. But let's get out in the water, a guy who I love to spend time with, whether it's on the water, on the stage, or just hanging out. Takumi Ito. Said he didn't need forward-facing sonar anymore, but has clearly changed his thoughts on that because he's back to it, as is the majority of our field. How ironic is it? And I can bust on him because he's a guy who I, very tight with. But John Cox, how ironic is it? The guy that has no forward-facing sonar, has famous at the most technical time in the sport. He doesn't even put it on his boat at our first forward-facing sonar event. Oh, hooked up live.
It's gonna be a good one. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to call.
A little bit. Two.
Smallest fish, a 10-ouncer.
Okay, that'll help.
Can you? Yep. Yeah, it's okay.
How much fun is that? Catching those feisty spotted bass on spinning tackle. Just watching that one come up, shake his head at the boat. That is awesome. Clear water.
Guessing probably a Christmas tree pile. There's thousands of those out in front of docks. Probably a green light on it, too.
We did see some green lights earlier on.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
Does anybody actually throw at their Christmas trees in Alabama?
If they do make it to the road, they're quickly swept up by not the cities. I mean, you have guys that are retrofitting old pontoon boats that are just brush droppers, you know?
Brush barges is
Yeah,
what they're
exactly.
called. Yeah.
They weld or they cut the railings off and then they just dump them.
Wow.
But that is the difference between Martin and Smith, kind of the two comparable lakes in this tournament or in Alabama. Is Southern Company clear-cut everything on this lake. You know, at Smith, they left the trees at about the 90-foot mark. So there's a forest below that. There's not here, which makes me wonder about the blueback. They don't really have a place to hide on this lake.
That's why they keep chewing through
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Now over to Emil Wagner. Hooked up live.
Just another little Lake Martin special. I'm telling you, we go out in the middle and catch a million of these. Gave us .04. Doesn't look right, but I think I messed something up there.
Hank, you kind of watch all these guys on the way up. Obviously, they qualify through the opens. Will you be honest with me? Do you cheer for them a little more?
It is. I don't think you really have to anymore because of the gauntlet the opens are. But I do find myself, especially that first event of the elite, finding the rookies and seeing how they did. So it's a good mix last week. You know, some had a tougher tournament, but again, they're fishing against 90 of the best anglers in the world. So, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say I pull for or against them, but I do find where they are on the
Of course
leaderboard.
you're going to say that. You're such a Weldon.
You can literally see the bait ball.
Can't deny that.
He was on the bottom or near the bottom, and saw him shoot up. The bait they eat here is tiny, so it just looks like a little fuzz. And then I cut him off as he was swimming through the bait. I caught him. I don't think he's going to help. It helps a little bit. Damn. I'm used to these Lanier fish. These ones don't really do it for me. That is a better than average Lake Martin spot. Again, filler fish. Take these for now, but we need them to get bigger. Yeah, that's right. All right, I got to throw back red. Get back in business.
Hardest working thing in this tournament is going to be that
take
right there, your scale or
turn
your
it half a
balance
day
beam,
to,
because it's going to be a lot of that
cut.
this week.
We are not there yet. Not even
Who can get those 4 like that and then
gotta
that one
mix
3
them up
4
first, but
pounder?
that one,
I'd watch the
he was out
dock bite
there
later
all
in the
day
day
fishing for
as
us
this
on
water
the dog.
warms.
He wasn't really out deep. He was just kind of in that mid-depth range. He really
Gary Russ Lane hooked up live.
A little better one. And their teeth are tough. Break that line like that. I believe the little largemouth from this morning. Oh, there's some bullets in there.
Speaking of that gauntlet that is the Opens, I've said it a bunch of times, but how impressive is it to see Russ Lane?
Now, he had a great division last year and then turned around and had a great EQ. You know, it's that's what's so cool about that format now is it's I label it postseason of bass fishing. And, yeah, you may have a great regular season, but then you still got to turn around and produce in the playoffs too, and it's just not easy anymore. And he did well in both. Watch out for him at the 10 Tom. You know, he had a top 10 there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's really more Russ's style. I know he's from here, fished this lake a lot, but he likes that dirty, shallow grass fishery, river fishery.
It gives us probably 5 more ounces. That's the name of the game, though, in Lake Martin.
It was funny watching him when we had all 10 anglers, and I think he could have been their dads. All of them. Yeah, and there's
Big
that
thing
one
is
Russ
I like
Lane.
seeing them be aggressive, because over there where I was earlier, they were not aggressive at all.
If you were fishing this tournament, Hank, what would your strategy be?
Probably try to catch a good one early, because again, you always want to go one fish at a time. Dad always stressed that. But you feel pretty good about getting pound and a quarter spots in there, right? So big early, fill the limit midday, and then hope for that big bite on the dock at the end of the
I thought
day.
there was better quality over there where I was. That's why I stuck with it for so long. And there was more largemouths over there. But we'll see if we can call a few more times, and then we'll decide if we need to head back up river and fish some dirty water for a largemouth for the last couple hours or so.
There's a side of rustling you don't see all the time, but I saw it when you guys did that champagne celebration. I mean, he was giddy like that, and when he shaved Tristan McCormick's head, the most giddy I've ever seen Russ Lane in my life.
Shows you how important an Elite Series berth is.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to have him back on the Elite Series. Very few individuals have gone and double qualified for the Elite Series, and happy to add Russ Lane to that group. Lake Martin, day number 1. 101 anglers in the field, and the quest is to get inside the top 50 after tomorrow. But that'll look at your leaderboard. You see Will Davis, Scott Canterbury, Jeff Gustafson, our Phoenix Boat Big Bass leader, is in 3rd place. Kyle Patrick recovering from a tough event. It's not just the top 10 we're looking at. Look at there. Oh, Trey McKinney once again in the mix. Austin Cranford after a very tough first event. Keep your eyes on him, especially in the scoping event. Matt Messer, Carl Jacobson, David Gaston, Wes Logan again in the mix. O'Brien needs to have a few events. It's great to see Chris Dane in there. Jay Shakirik's always there. Combs.
We do the impossible. Take off like a rocket.
Yeah, come on. Can you see them two on top of that track? There's actually one low on the other side, two up in the top. All right, if it just moved, something's happened. Dang it. They're swimming around. All right, you see my bait falling real slow toward them. See what they do. They're looking at it. One's heading to it. Going down. I don't think he got it. Yeah, he did. A little better spot. Call another one. I think. Oh. Look at them bullets. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 3 more ounces. A little bit better now. Just, I know I don't have any weight, but I'm getting my base where it needs to be, where I can go back to fishing for big ones. Hey, that should have been some good footage.